Hello, welcome everybody to the third LCBN webinar. Today we're going to be talking about education in the times of COVID on behalf of Vancouver and the Latin Canadian Business Network. I would like to welcome our two guests today. We have Francisco Cano and Pedro Cortina. Welcome, thanks for being here, guys. Bienvenidos. You can unmute yourself. Let me see. Hello. Better? Yes. Hi, how are you?
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon.
How are you, Francisco?
I'm good, Pablo. Nice to meet you, Pedro.
Nice to meet you, Francisco. Hi, everybody. Hi, Pablo.
Hi. Hello, everybody from your home. I hope you're staying safe and clean and healthy. So today we're going to be talking about education in the times of COVID-19. One of the most impacted sectors or in this epidemic has been education. We have seen a very big leap on how education is going to be done in the future and what's been done at this precise moment. A lot of these trends have been explored in the past, but nothing has ever made all schools from kindergartens to universities go virtual in such a short time. So I want to present our guests today. Francisco Cano is setting a new standard for learning and teaching in the ESL industry. His commitment to innovate ESL education is revitalizing the way students and teachers interact, learn, and educate. As one of the founders of Gastown International Language Academy, he specializes in the vision and direction of the business. And Dr. Pedro Cortina holds a master's and doctoral degree specializing in education, leadership, and entrepreneurship from the University of British Columbia and the University of Calgary. He is a higher education executive specializing in business education. He serves as Vice President Academic at Acsenda School of Management, as well as Senior Consultant to the Innerland Institute in Vancouver. He teaches in areas of leadership, strategy, entrepreneurship, mentorship, and human resources. He is a certified counselor by the American Philosophical Practitioners Association in New York and a graduate from the finance program for senior executives at the University of Oxford. Additionally, throughout his life, he has fully immersed in several Eastern human development traditions, such as Mahamudra, Dzogchen, and Advaita. I hope I pronounced it correctly. So Pedro and Francisco, thanks so much for being here. I'm Pablo Zacarias. I'm a project manager for Vancouver, and I will be your host today. So let's hear from our first speaker today, Francisco Cano.
Thank you, Pablo. My name is Francisco Cano. I'm the founder of Gastown International Language Academy. I'm an accountant. I have an accounting degree from Mexico, but as I use it here, I used to have business in Mexico. I moved 15 years ago. I work in different skills. Probably 7 years ago, I was in education, like an acting school, and I was a partner business. So my partner business from Mexico, he's been 25 years in the education. He has a university for almost he has 7,000 students between Cancun, Merida, and Chiapas. So, we are in Gastown. That's why we call Gastown International Language Academy. And how we start with this project, it was 2 years ago. Like I told you, my partner business in Mexico, he has universities in different states. And we were thinking about doing something here in Vancouver. I was a partner business in that school I told you like around 8 years ago, I think 7 to 8 years ago, and I stepped out and we started this project 2 years ago. So we decide what will be different from other ESL schools. We decided to use technology to our benefits. So what kind of technology we were starting to use is we use iPads for each students. We start with the smart TV. We have smart TVs and MacBooks for the teachers. We in each classroom we have smart TVs, so they can screen whatever the teachers they are showing. They will screen on the TV, and they will screen on the iPads too. So we development. So what we did is we developed a new teaching of methods too, to more update with what they've been teaching in the past 25 to 30 years of ESL. So we're trying to change those kind of methods. We use apps to teach and learn. Plus, we were following the language kind of guidelines. You know? So we invest in technology. In technology, design, and aesthetics of the school. If you see it, we just put it kind of like a boutique school in Gastown. We try to we officially opened in January 6th in 2020. And what happened is in March, we had the COVID-19. So with COVID-19, it was a complete game change. And well, if you, my English is not the best one, but well, we have an academic director and we have teachers. So just be a little more patient here if I try to say the right words for English. So with COVID-19 has required us to start online teaching platform quicker than expected. So what happened is we were already teaching digital with our iPads and with the MacBook and everything. The teacher, they were doing their classes in the MacBook one day before. So what we were having before, we were kind of like in a better position than other schools. So that's the point, because our lessons were already digital. We were all able to switch to online very quickly. It wasn't perfect, but we were in a better position than other schools. So we discovered that teaching and learning completely online require us to make some adjustments. So the main things, I think one of the things we find, it was time. So time, socialization, the face-to-face to engage, and the fee structure. That one was a bunch of one of the other things we were struggling. So the time is we switched from almost 7 hours of in-school time to 4 hours of learning of online teaching. We find what happened is we closed on Friday school. We went to online on Monday. The first day, I think the teachers that were teaching, one teacher was teaching 25%, other teacher was teaching 75%. The second day they would start teaching 85, the other ones 95. So what happened is we were teaching what we were supposed teaching in a regular classroom, but it's really complicated to teach almost 7 hours. The students being in the PC or in an iPad almost for 7 hours. So that's why we switched for 4 hours. I think the engage is way better with those kind of things. we need to, unfortunately, we have to make some tough yet necessary decisions that cut hours, even fire people, um, uh, all those kind of things. We are cutting um, cost in a lot of our expenses. We are cutting expenses in our business. So this is a reminder that we need to be like chameleons and adapt quickly to survive. I think one of the things I've been learning is because we are kind of immigrants, we are we can adapt those kind of situations, but this is going to be a tough situation for I think everyone. COVID-19 is a game changer. So companies that can adapt will have success. I think those are the main ones. So the this is for us. I think this is a tough situation, and that's the point. I think what I was going to tell you guys is even it's a tough situation, and many of us are immigrants, and we know we can get through this. I don't know how long it's going to be. I was like on March in a webinar, and they told us there was a corporation. They have a ESL and a college in China, and they were closed for 3 months. And that's when in March they told us you are going to be shut down at least 3 months because we've been shut down in China for 3 months, and they were almost getting out. So, but that's a different government. I think how they manage is mostly really kind of like really straight. So I'm not sure how long it's going to be this situation, but I think the game change here is going online. I think going online is going to be the new thing for everyone. And well, that's my my experience. In the fees, it's been tough. What we were charging is 1/4 what we charge. Our rent is still the same. We're trying to deal with all these kind of situations with the landlord. But I think these are the times when if we are all together, we can get through this. The other one is I think it's a wake up to probably to do another things like and to probably be aware that these are earth and the animals and everything. It's something we probably need to respect more than we were not respecting. But that's all about what we're doing. And Pablo.
Thank you so much, Francisco, for sharing this experience, your struggles, your transformation, and everything that's going on. We wish the best as an ESL education entity. I think you're facing an interesting challenge, hoping like dealing with a lot of international students and from people from all over the world that came to Canada for a new experience. So thanks so much for sharing with us. As I put on the chat, there's a chat there. If you want to ask questions to our speakers, please feel free to do so. Thank you so much, Francisco.
Thank you.
Please stick around for the Q&A. And I would like to welcome our second speaker, Dr. Pedro Cortina from Acsenda and the Innerland Institute. How are you, Pedro?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, welcome.
Well, is my video working? Can you see me?
We can see you.
Wonderful, great, excellent. Well, good to see everybody. Thank you, Francisco, for sharing. and we're facing very similar experience. A little bit about myself. I moved to Canada in 2003, so it's been a while. My background in education was in business education in Mexico City. And when I got here, I got into UBC to finish a master's program, and then I went to the University of Calgary to finish a doctoral program in education. And after that, I started working in higher education for whatever number of years that is. My experience as a Latino moving up to Canada has been quite interesting, quite adventurous, sometimes challenging in adapting to literally a new world. So I'm delighted to be here with fellow Latinos and with people that are interested in Latin culture and in general the networking that we have going on for the Latino community. So thank you for having me. Acsenda School of Management is one of very few private post-secondary degree granting institutions in the province of British Columbia. So that means that even though we're private, we're allowed to offer bachelor's degrees or master's degree, depending on what on the institution. We are members of the private degree granting institutions association that brings together several of the degree granting private colleges in Vancouver, such as New York Institute, Yorkville University, Fairleigh Dickinson's University, amongst others, Canada, University Canada West, et cetera, et cetera. And we've been offering a 2 bachelor's degrees for some years now, Bachelor's of Business Administration and a Bachelor's of Hospitality Management. For several years now. Our current student population is around 1,400 students, so 1,400 students, and we are located in Burrard Street in downtown Vancouver at 666 Burrard. The school has grown tremendously. We're part of an international organization called Educo that is based in Australia. We have sister schools in Vancouver. One is Arbutus College, and we have several sister schools all around the world, some in Ireland, the US, Australia, from what I know. And we, as a group, Educo group, have been put in a very interesting situation with the sudden birth of this virus. At Acsenda School of Management in particular, we had been promoting using technology in our classrooms. We had some asynchronous student learning system already set up, and we were using our own Moodle. We developed our own Moodle with our own brand, et cetera, and students were using that. Faculty were expected to use it, and take attendance and this and that. But suddenly, it was actually 4 weeks ago, precisely on a Thursday 4 weeks ago, that we had to move absolutely everything online. It was the Thursday before final week exam. And we had to move all the final exams to do it from home setting. We opted to do take home exams, and we opted to do extended assignments for some of the courses. And we had 1 week to prepare to move absolutely all our courses online. We started the following Monday started classes for term 2 of 2020. So as you imagine, we had a full schedule. We had 1,014 students on schedule. We had around 40 or 50 faculty on schedule. We had rooms assigned within our campus. We had everything ready to go. And suddenly we had a week to move absolutely everything online. So what we decided to do, and we had been working on that for a while using a tool called Big Blue Button that is similar to Zoom, but it's more designed for Moodle. We decided to move into Big Blue Button and literally move the face-to-face experience to online. So there's 2 modalities for online education, as you may know. The first one is synchronous. That means it is in real time. That means you meet like we are right now, virtually, but in real time. And the other one is asynchronous. And that means basically you have work to do, you go into a portal or a resource or a website, and you work at your own pace. You're not in real time. So synchronous, real time, asynchronous, non-real time. Because we had everything ready to run on a Monday, we just decided to move everything online to a synchronous model of education. And that would mean using Big Blue Button, which is quite similar to Zoom. And the schedule was just kept exactly as it was. So if you had a class on Wednesday at 9 a.m., Introduction to Marketing, then you would go into your virtual classroom that is part of the Moodle program that they already were using. So you would go into your little website for your particular course, and you would see a link that says virtual classroom. So you click on that and you move into Big Blue Button, and suddenly you're looking at your friends, you're looking at your instructor, you're looking at your peers. And we asked faculty to keep that model of education and add some asynchronous work, of course, like homeworks and some forums and discussion and reading and doing some projects, etc., etc. So for us, the move was very, very smooth. One of the things that we've been doing at the Innerland Institute for 4 years already is long courses that have a long duration. We have been posting them online. So in my personal experience, it was very easy to move into a real-time use of these tools. And because we already had a Moodle platform, it was very easy to combine the synchronous and the asynchronous. For some of our students were stranded. Some of our students were stranded in India or in Mexico or in Colombia, or they were stranded because of the restrictions. So for them, especially if they were in different parts of the world, we actually set up a few courses that were fully asynchronous. So that means whatever time of the day you're at, wherever time you're working, you would be able to come in and actually do some work. So above all, we have been very fortunate to have the support of our faculty, the support of our larger organization, our parent company. We've been able to work with our sibling schools in getting this going in the same way. Different schools within our own system were at different stages in terms of their ability to jump online. We've all moved online very successfully using maybe different strategies, but we have to. We've had to, and it's been very interesting, and it's been very powerful. One of the most and this was Francisco's experience. It was my experience. We had a meeting today with the Private Degree Granting Institutions Association, and within the group we were sharing. We all had to do the exact same thing. Some of us are adapting differently. The big public educational universities, the big public educational institutions are also adapting. Some of them had a lot of work already supporting their online learning experience. So for some, it was very, very easy. For others, not that much. For example, the public K-12 education system. My kids are part of the system, and they also classes were canceled. But because they had not much experience or support doing fully online learning, they had the different teachers had to start many times looking around strategies that were different from one to the other. And so it was very interesting to notice the adaptation that we've seen. A lot of interest in terms of the potential for change, for not going back to where things were, for taking on the learning that we've had. At the Innerland Institute, we have a coaching practice as well, and we do work with executives in different realms, not only education, but other realms. And we've been also doing a lot of work in exploring, what are the most important lessons? What are the changes? How is it that we're not going to go back to the same world that we were experiencing before COVID? What are the efficiencies that we're discovering? What are the processes that we're finding that make us more efficient, more aligned, more present, and more connected? And so that's that's most of our experience has been in that direction. Most of the experience of the industry has been in that direction. Can you imagine hundreds of thousands of students and teachers and academics having to move to fully online all around the world from one week to the next? So this has been really, really something that it has never been seen in the world of education. And nevertheless, the technology was there, the support was there, somehow different strategies, different people, different approaches, but the tools were there, and we've all, depending on where we're at, most of us have been really successful in making those adaptations. And so I think the big questions for us is, what are we learning? What are we taking with us? What is never going to be the same? What is education post-COVID-19 going to look like? And I think most importantly, what is the student experience going to be? What is the learning going to be? Some of our students, many of our coachees report that they love the model. They love the model. Zoom, they love the model. At the Innerland Institute, we do leadership courses on the weekend sometimes, and we do a couple of days, and we do 3 full hours a break, 3 full hours at a break. And it's been a little bit shocking for us, because we thought at first, oh no, that's going to be too much in front of the computer, et cetera, et cetera. We've done it, and the feedback we're seeing is people are happy. And the tools that Zoom has, or Big Blue Button has, or other education technology-based systems have, is amazing. The breakout rooms, and the way you can raise your hand, and the way you can interact, et cetera, et cetera. Our students at Acsenda, one of the things we've noticed is our students at Acsenda are really comfortable with education. Of course, they spend most of the time on it, right? So we have been getting comments from faculty saying, oh, my students are participating way more. They're asking way more questions. They're connecting more between themselves. Why? Because they have a thing glued to their hands, and for them it's just so natural to connect using technology. So interestingly enough, we've seen student interaction increase. Another very, very, if you want to say shocking or let me say unexpected thing we've noticed is students are showing up more to class. Our attendance rates are higher. So our attendance, listen to it, our attendance rates are higher in the first week of online learning at Acsenda than in the first week of previous terms. So that's very interesting. The other thing we're discussing in the meeting this morning is, you know, how long is this going to last? Some of the other partner schools in the degree granting association have different dates. So how long is next term also going to be online? So those are the big questions that we're having right now. And one of the things we're going to do at Acsenda in the following weeks is we're going to put out a survey to students and faculty to learn more about the immediate impact of this, so we can actually start addressing whatever needs show up in real time. And that's another thing that I think it's very important. When you're doing online education at these levels, you need to have constant interaction with your stakeholders to see where they're at, what's going on, what's not working, what kind of bugs or issues they're having. It's very easy to have people be disenfranchised and disenchanted with online education if technology is not working well, if they're having issues, if they're not connecting with their faculty. So another aspect of it is having a robust evaluation strategy on how things are working and the results that you're having, so that you can actually be changing, modifying, adapting, and fixing things in real time. So that's our experience. One of the things that we notice, we're never going to go back. First, we're never going back to not offering full-time courses, I think. Full-time online courses. We were very traditional in doing face-to-face courses. Now we've talked to regulators, and it's just very viable. We were pushed into it, and now especially for students offshore that want to start working on their English, business English or business skills from their country of origin, they can do that from now on. So we hear that a lot. We don't know what the post-COVID world is going to look like, but in the world of education, we might have gone through the revolution that educators were expecting. You see, education is one of the industries, or one of the areas in human interaction that has not changed much in the last 100 years when you compare it with other industries or other areas. You know, look at technology, look at tourism, look at retail, look at et cetera, et cetera. Education was somehow lagging, and all of us that go to a faculty of education have that conversation. You know, when is the big next revolution coming? And maybe this is it, and maybe we were not expecting it, and maybe we were pushed a little into the abyss, but maybe this is it. So we are now having to react to act on, hopefully not react, but act on the situation and the conditions that are being presented to us. And the other aspect, finally, just to close, is as we change dramatically, we've noticed there's a tremendous need for support, for promoting well-being, for being attentive to students and to faculty. At the Innerland Institute, we've been working with our clients consistently in supporting them in dealing with change, dealing with the anxiety, dealing with the not knowing. And there are several strategies that have proven to be quite successful that we're using at the Innerland Institute, and that we're also using at Acsenda to support students and faculty. So thank you so much, and I'm sure Francisco and I are going to be very happy to address any questions you may have.
Thank you so much, Pedro. Thanks for sharing all these valuable insights, your experiences, and thanks for everyone who's sticking around. It is I think this has been a very welcome change, although as you mentioned, there's a quote by Gustavo Esteva who says that universities are the most conservative entities, or educational entities are the most conservative ones besides church. So now they have been pushed to modernize and be different. So thanks so much for sharing your experience. And we will go with the Q&A now. Let's start with the first question from Angel. The question, or Angel, uh, for Francisco. When do you think foreign students could start coming to study programs like yours? Could start coming back? That's probably a question for the both of you.
Well, I think I don't know. I'm going to tell, but I think probably will have more information. It's hard because even Canada, we are probably one of the best, or not best, but one of the countries we have managed really well the COVID-19. If the other countries didn't manage well, they cannot fly. So they cannot come back, and there will be. Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah.
So that's one of the other things. This is all about everyone, all countries. I think it's going to be hard because maybe we will be good in October or November, but maybe other countries we will stop other countries to come, or there will be no flights. So that's I think I don't know. I hope so. It's this year. I don't know. It can be the next year, like in January. I hope so. It's for me. It will be great if finished in July or August, but we need to be realistic. There will be not foreign international students coming in that time because all the other countries they are managed completely different. Pedro.
I have, let me see, unmute you. I have unmuted you, Pedro. Oh, sorry, I muted you again. There you go.
Thank you. I'm sorry, it was breaking up. Can you, the sound was breaking up a little. Can you remind me of the question, Pablo?
Yeah, it's, when do you think foreign students could start coming back to BC or to Canada to study programs?
Yeah, well, we were listening to our prime minister today in his news conference. He was saying that apparently all the curve calculations for the virus may allow us to settle back into regular life. He says by the end of spring. I really don't know. The issue with international students is that we have cycles as you know, as educational organizations. We have our terms, et cetera. So as Francisco is saying, it's a very, very difficult situation for many educational organizations. For us, because we have been able to start students offshore, it hasn't been that much of a problem. Our student population is mostly international students. Some of our students, as I was saying, got stranded because they went on a break. Remember that week I told you about? That week between final exams and starting another term? There's final exams, week, start a new term. Some students just said, oh, okay, you know, I'm going to go home for a little bit. They were never able to come back, right? So you have the sanction, you have the formal closing of the borders that need to be open. And then we need to either keep working while that happens, so that when the doors are back open, we have students on the pipeline interested in coming to Vancouver right away. Because if we don't do that, what's going to happen is they're going to open, and then we're going to start basically from scratch, right? So the recruitment work doesn't end. The continuing connecting with students internationally, locally, et cetera, has to continue.
Okay, thank you so much. There's another question that kind of goes together with this one, is there any chance the starting dates of the terms will change?
In my case, well, we are ESL, so we start every week. We are online. I just want to tell everyone, this you need to be prepared because can be the new reality for at least this year and the next year. You need to start to study online. If not, you are going to waste your time. Read, uh, do whatever you need to do. Don't waste this time. It's really critical. Trying to learn everything, whatever you can do online for free. We'll try to like a gasoline Kila. We're going to give it some free classes too, because we know we need to give it something to the community. But guys, try to do whatever you want. Duolingo, everything you can learn, do it. Don't waste your time. This can be months, and it can be 1 year at least, or something like that. I don't want to scare you, but don't waste your time.
Pedro?
Yeah, I agree totally, Francisco. Because I've been around for a bit, it's very, very clear every time there is a crisis, especially every time there's a financial crisis. And I mean, we have a health crisis, but we do have a financial crisis at the same time. But if you look back in the world of education, every time there's a financial crisis, education grows. And it's just a natural cycle. When people are not working, when people are not growing professionally, making money, people tend to go back and educate themselves. So I agree. I echo Francisco's comments. It's time to do the learning. It's time to do do the transformational work. It's time to get that extra credential, diploma, degree, whatever, and especially because it may take a while, right? So it was funny because at some point when I started my doctoral program, I was asked, well, why are you going to do this? And how much time is it going to take? And how much effort and this and that? And I just thought to myself, the time is going to go by anyways. The time is going to go by anyways. So let's use it, right? And now, especially, we have a ton of time. At least we're saving ourselves commute time. That's 2 hours a day, You can finish a good program in 2 hours a day. So that's definitely my recommendation as well.
Yeah, thank you, Pedro. Francisco, you were into me.
Of course, we want to have people with experience to Vancouver, people that want to come and everything. But yeah, it's going to take more time than we were thinking. I think so. Just if you want to come in the future to Vancouver, you can start to probably learn something. Just can be like a ESL or something about if you are going to do something a degree or a diploma. Just start to Google and search and start to learn something. But when you are ready to come, you will have a higher level of English because you will need it for to get a diploma, to get into a university or to get a diploma.
Thank you, Francisco. Question from Romina. How are you getting feedback, Pedro? How are you getting feedback from students about this new model that you're implementing?
So the first thing I asked our faculty and is forward to me personally every single email that you get from students in terms of what's working and what's not working. I need to know. That doesn't mean I'm going to get into a conversation with 100 or 200 students, but what it means is there's the invitation and there's the need to get the feedback. So first of all, that was my invitation to all faculty. The other way we're going to actually get feedback is we're going to be setting up survey monkeys for faculty and students quite often as we can. And we're going to be asking the important questions when you're setting a new project, especially an online learning initiative. Are you being able to connect with your faculty, with your instructors efficiently? Is technology, is the setting, is the tool working for you? Which of the tools that we use, for example, Big Blue Button or Zoom, it has better results for you as a student, as a teacher? What are the are you getting the same or similar educational experience in terms of learning outcomes? So it is a constant, it's a daily check-in actually with faculty, with students, and informally. And then formally, two things. We have what we call our online learning coaches. We have a couple of people in the organization that's what they do. They are online learning coaches, and they are the ones that are getting all the emails. They are the ones that are getting all the feedback. So we concentrate that information every day. And as we filter that information, we're in constant contact with our tech teams, the teams that are developing and giving support to the technical side of things, the Moodle and the Big Blue Button and our servers, et cetera, et cetera. So we're filtering the information back and forth, and they're checking, oh, this happened at this time, so let's do this, let's move that function to another server, let's get another server, let's expand this, let's pause video for a second, see how that reacts, et cetera, et cetera. So honestly, it's an ongoing process, and it's quite sensitive. So we try to monitor it in real time as much as possible.
Thank you, Pedro. We have another question from Paola. We are maybe finally moving into a world without borders in the education field, because even though there is a lot of offer of education online, it is still difficult for people in our Latin American countries to access quality education. What are the opportunities for international students to access education in schools abroad, but in a more affordable way, with a higher impact in schools like yours? Like, are you exploring that as well? Or right now, is it only just providing service for those who were enrolled physically?
In our experience, so the model that we use is Canadian business immersion model. So what we offer our students is, because most of our students are international students, we offer our students, come to Vancouver, sign up for a bachelor's degree in business administration, accounting, international business, et cetera, and get an immersive business experience in Canada. So people, for us, having students that are fully online is new. We like it. We don't have a problem. We talked to our regulators a few days ago. They don't see a problem. You know, we can offer online education, and that's viable. The only issue when it comes to affordability is the traditional divide between North American income and income in other areas in the world. So the courses are going to still cost whatever they cost, right? And that is a challenge. So we are behooved, we are expected to look at other options to facilitate accessibility and viability for students to be learning online. There are many degrees that you can take fully online, and you can take them from anywhere around the world, but tuition is going to be generally relatively the same, whether you're in Mexico or you're in South Africa or you're in India, right? So affordability is an issue because it's always linked to the standard income in the region and the monetary policy. You know, especially in Latin America, we know how our Latin American currencies often get devaluated compared to North American currencies, as in Canada and the US, well, maybe Mexico as well. But the thing is, and that makes it challenging, really challenging. We had a lot of students, for example, from Mexico. I understand the Canadian dollar kind of inched up a little bit and devaluated a little bit, and it was hard, because that's where the resources are coming from, right? From savings in Mexico, from income in Mexico. So it is a challenge, and you know, that is the invitation, to explore ways in which we can actually support students that are being pushed away. At Acsenda, we did take several financial measures to alleviate students' impact in this at this time, but definitely it is a challenge across the board.
Yeah, and this question from Sebastian Cortez kind of goes on this topic as well, which is, do you think these methodologies have the capacity to go through a long-term scenario?
Absolutely, 100%. Some of the members of our academic council at Acsenda School of Management are pioneers in distance education. Sir John Daniel, who is our chancellor, is an eminence in online education. Glenn Farrell, Dr. Glenn Farrell, was president of the online learning agency for many years. Distance education, online education is not a new thing. Technology is allowing us to find very creative, very interesting, very powerful ways of education, of educating and learning online. I think more and more we're going to feel comfortable. The new generations are feeling completely comfortable, right? If there was any resistance at the level of the academic establishment, it's gone, you know, thanks to the virus. And so I think the opportunities are endless. There are tremendous resources online for free. There are courses set up by the best universities in the world that are fully free. Cornell, Harvard, et cetera, et cetera. So I think the future of online education is bright. Now, if we ask the question, is online education going to replace face-to-face education? My answer would be no. I think there has to be a component where face-to-face education will continue to be alive and hopefully never die. But the fact that virtual educational settings are going to be part of the future, I think it is a fact, and I think they are absolutely sustainable. Many people finish online, fully online courses, degrees all around the world. When these started, there was a little bit of a competition between the established face-to-face status quo and the new emerging technologies. These were institutions that were more avant-garde. They had maybe less academic weight, but were more willing to go in that direction. And so now we're all facing the fact that we can educate online, we can learn online, and that the learning outcomes are quite consistent with face-to-face outcomes. There's a lot of research still to be done out there, but I think it's perfectly viable.
Thank you, Pedro. If someone wants to ask another question, the chat room's open. I have one myself. How do you feel, the both of you, Francisco, you come from an artistic, also like an artist background, like a very human perspective, and Pedro, you're a philosopher. How do you see the content of education, like these? Like we know we needed a shift, and there's of course this shift in technology, but there's also a shift in content, a shift in professional outcomes. like we've come to face this essentiality, you know, like how we are only essential people can go to work. So what is the non-essential? Well, how much time and money and resources are we, like what's the place for people? I think that's another question that has come up, and it comes up with education, and that's why a lot of people go back to school when they face a financial crisis, because they find themselves not being needed anymore. So how do you see that, the both of you, how do you perceive it?
In Well, I don't know. It's like I told you, it's a game changing. I think it's I don't know. Even in the artistic, like there is they are doing now. I'm going to tell you a lot of in the UVCP. We are the union. There are some, like there's people that are doing a mini short films in their houses. So artistic, we need to find a lot of different things. It's the same like business. It's the same like education. We are we need to be, I think, more human too. We've been all about money, I think, in the past um, decade, 2 decades, and
Or 3 or 6?
so I think it's a game changer. I think it's, of course, everything is going to change. I don't know what this is a revolution. I think it's for everything, for arts, for education, for business, for applications, for even how to study. So even how I was saying, Pedro, I don't think so. Education is going to disappear face to face, but I think online is going to take a big percentage of that chunk of students. Uh, but the main thing is a lot of, like in the case of Vancouver, um, the experience to people to move to here to experience in a different country, I think it still keep going. But I think even like I don't know, maybe we'll do a synergy with acting, and you can study English and acting at the same time. Or I don't know. This is going to be it's going to be a revolution in how you can do business. How your mind is going to be like what people they were thinking they were no essential. It was a simple nurse. Now they are the new heroes. I think everything is changed. It's 7 p.m. and it's everybody's clipping now on the 7 of nurse.
Yeah, there's people making noise right next door, so that kind of connects us in a way from isolation. Pedro, what are your thoughts?
I think that it's a great time for deep pondering, for deep thought. I think it's a great time to reconsider life's priorities. I mean, look at the impact we were having on the environment and on the planet. Now, guess what? We're staying home. Guess what? Oh, I don't need to drive around that much. Guess what? Oh, I don't need to pay that much rent. I don't need a campus that is so big. I don't, it is a real eye opener, right? Because we were driving just on the synergy of more business, more income, more, and now we're noticing that we can be a lot more efficient, a lot more successful even in business, without having, for example, the tremendous impact we were having at the level of the environment. So that's a huge learning experience. The other learning experience is when you're in isolation, you have the privilege and the opportunity to be with your mind, with yourself, a lot more than you would generally be when you're distracted, et cetera, et cetera. So it's also a great opportunity to take notice of the texture of your thoughts, of the texture of your anxieties, of the texture of what drives you, question your motivations, look into what's going on. And at the level of education, it's also a very important opportunity to look at content, as you were saying, Pablo, and really try to embed these principles: self-awareness, soft skills, intrinsic value in what you're doing, service, what is it that you're bringing to the world, the organization, your friends, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's a great opportunity, and in education, for example, we're developing new programs that are very interesting programs we're developing, and one of the things that has come up quite substantially, that was pre-COVID, but also now, and more even so now because of what's happening, is we need students to become better humans. We need students to be able to connect better, to engage better, to be more present, to be more aligned, to be more honest, to be more connected, to be more aligned with their own principles, right? And so I think things are going to change in that direction. So it can happen at two levels, honestly. It can happen at the level of the curriculum, and it is happening because it's needed, and we see that it's needed, but also it could happen at the level of our own experience now that we're in isolation. So one of the things I often tell my clients at the Innerland Institute, my coaching clients, is, you know, you have the time. You have the time. So choose. How are you going to spend this time? Tapping your fingers on something, just waiting dramatically for the green light to come back and the borders to open, or you're going to use it as an inner exploration process to actually clarify yourself more, get more clear on your purpose, and actually be able to move ahead in that way, so that when we get the green light again, you're ready. You're ready. You come back from a re-energizing experience. You see, the whole COVID isolation experience can be either a daunting everyday experience where you feel like you're under the water just waiting for something to happen, or it can be a profoundly transformational process of self-awareness that we can actually engage in, and we can come out stronger. I mean, look at what we're allowed to do. We're allowed to put a lot of attention on what we're going to eat, how we're going to sleep, how we're going to do exercise, right? This is the stuff we hear all the time that we need. Well, this is the time.
This is it. Thank you so much, Francisco and Pedro, for sharing your thoughts, sharing your experiences. You've been very inspiring to all of us. I would like to thank the Latin Canadian Business Network, the LCBN, for making this happen. If you're not a member yet, please check it out, because that networks are a big part of what makes us stronger. And this is another way of making networking, to get together, connect. I've been calling my friends from all over, like people who haven't spoken in years. And it's also, as Pedro was saying, and Francisco as well, this doesn't stop. So this is a good time to use those hours to network, to build your strengths, to rethink your business, to get all the tools and the support that you need. And that's what LCBN is all about. And Vancouver as well, our mother organization. Thank you, Vancouver. Thanks, LCBN. Thank you, Pedro. Thank you, Francisco. I'm Pablo Zacarias. And is there anything you would like to add to close this? Any recommendation, any thought?
I just want to tell you guys, just keep different scenarios for now. If you think it's going to be already 1 month, try to do something for 1 month, like trying to learn something for 1 month. If you're thinking it's going to be for 3 months, try to do another thing for 3 months. And it can be for 6. So have a plan for 1 month to be in your house, or 2 months, or other one for 4 months, another one. So that will give you something to do, because if you waste your time, I think it's that you are going to be in a bad situation in the future.
That's true. Pedro, anything you would like to add?
My invitation is, do what you've always wanted to do every time you've said, if I had the time. If I had the time, I would do this. If I had the time, I would do that. I would take care of this. I would take care of my health. I would go out and walk. I would finish my degree. This is it. This is the moment that we're always saying, oh, if I only, if I were only able to do it. And so my invitation is just, this is the time. Do it. Find the resources that you need. Get the support that you need. Get the education that you need. Get the knowledge that you need, and use this time, because it's time that's never going to go away. That's never going to come back. Sorry. So that's my recommendation. In terms of if there's educators out there, my recommendation also is, let's make this time transformational for our students. Let's use the opportunity that we are living in unprecedented times to really allow for self-awareness, self-transformation, and reaching goals, because we're never going to be in a similar situation. Well, I don't know, right? I don't know, right? We haven't been in a similar situation ever. And if the closest to this is the 1918 pandemic, we had 1.6 billion people living in the world at that time, not whatever number we're now, 7, 8, or 9. I can't even keep track, right? Yeah. So my recommendation is just go for it, and keep going. Thank you, Pablo. Thank you, Francisco. Thank you, the Latin Canadian Business Association. Thank you, Latin Vancouver, for the invitation.
Thank you. Thanks, Francisco. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. This will be available online through Latin Vancouver and the LCBN. Thanks for being part of this, and please keep in touch with us to learn more. Join our mailing list in order to know when our next webinar will happen. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here.